I don't know if you can see this, but I'm starting to like this. It's actually pretty cool. What is going on, guys? How are you? Welcome back to the channel and to another video. Today we're checking out another Zelos, and this is the Zelos Aurora Titanium. This is the 38mm version that I have. This is not a new release, but the dial option that I have here is part of a series of new dial variants that are on the website as we speak. They have been released because I am a bit late in releasing this video. Right, before I start waffling into the intro, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. To me, this is the best value for money, bang for buck watch that I ever reviewed or ever handled, period. Now I'll try to explain this along the way, but this is what my inner watch nerd is telling me. Well, inner watch nerd slash gut feeling is telling me. But the question is, how do I explain this, or how do I explain my gut feeling? Anyway, as watch reviewers, funny enough, even for a small channel like mine, we get hands-on with a lot of brands, either AliExpress watches or micro brands in general. So in a way, we kind of get desensitized, but at the same time, we tend to notice the smaller things that make a huge difference when handling a watch. I think I speak for a lot of us when I say that we like certain watches for certain things, or we associate them with certain elements, which is fine, but the Aurora, I feel, has the right balance. Now, what does that mean? This balance allows me to overlook some things that I wouldn't normally overlook. For example, I've never in my watch career said that a purple dial looks good on my wrist. Now, this is just me, this is personal, I don't like purple dials. Actually, better yet, a purple dial on a field watch, which this is supposed to be. Now, don't get me wrong, the dial is absolutely stunning. Now, while we're on the wrist topic, this would be a perfect opportunity to talk about the dimensions. So we have a diameter of 38mm, a lug-to-lug of 46, but the female end links do not fully articulate, so it's actually more like 48mm. Thickness of 12mm with the flat sapphire crystal, a lug width of 20mm, and also let us not forget that we have a titanium case. The weight, which is sized up to my magical 6.3-inch wrist, is 120 grams. That actually sounds a lot creepier than I thought when I say my magical wrist. So let's comment on that. What I think are the main points. Has a bigger presence on the wrist than the size would actually suggest, more like a 40, maybe because of the bold design angles, which I'll cover in a little while. They do a 42mm version, I believe, different colors. If you have a look in the description box next to that like button, there is a website, so if you want to check that out. Now, another thing, I did say it is 12mm thick. Nothing unusual, but do not forget that this is a 200-meter water-resistant diver. So again, a lot of value for money packed in this. So if I put it this way, if you're okay with the bold colors, this may sound like a cliche at this stage because there's a lot of watches that compete for the title. This can genuinely be your only watch, and or the one watch that does it all. Office, youth, beach, night out, night in the garden, and so on. Night in the garden. If we talk about the case, we have an all titanium construction with a 1200 HV hardened coating. Very fine brushing pretty much everywhere. With titanium, I believe most watches in this price point will have that sort of finish. Now, considering this is a field watch, you're looking to avoid scratches, polished surfaces wouldn't actually sit very well here. At the 3, we have the screw down crown with the loomed Zelos logo, like I mentioned earlier on, between this and the screw down case back, which has a ship engraved on it. We do have a stated water resistance of 200 meters. Now, two things to open up here. The crown is huge. 6.8mm in diameter. I don't normally mention this, but it does actually stand out a little bit. This is not bad because you can literally operate this with oven mitts. Now it's actually really big. Well, big for the size of the case. And secondly, Zelos like to put Lume on the crown. For the cool factor, this is sick because this is super bright and it actually stands out. If you need Lume to find your crown to wind it, I do want to ask on which body part are actually wearing your watch that you cannot see or find your crown. Let's move on and talk about what everybody seems to call the star of the show, which is the dial, obviously. Now, I have the hammered fume purple dial. Yes, this is what my configuration is called between the texture and the color. And yes, here comes some what I think are some awesome macro shots. Well, you'll see the macro shots. So we have applied markers on the cardinals and the rest are done in a sandwich dial format. We also have a step down chapter ring with a minute track in white. Fence post sword style hands with a polished finish. Now everything is very easy to read. A logo at the 12 and anti-magnetic and 200-meter water resistance in blue at the 6. I like the fact that the blue on the water resistance matches the accent on the second hand. So far I didn't say anything unusual, so it's fair to address the obvious. That texture dial, which is clearly highlighted by the fume effect, and not to mention that the light will play a huge role in the way this stands out. I have no idea how they managed to make this in a field watch or how they managed to get that pattern, but this is absolutely amazing. Do I care? This is a Zelos, obviously. I note the bolder the dial, the quicker it will sell out, obviously, if it already didn't sell out. Very little for me to comment here if I was to look at it like that. It's an absolutely gorgeous dial, so no matter how you look at it, if you're into the pattern and the bold colors, this is for you. You might hear people say that the minute hand doesn't reach all the way out to the outer edge. Honestly, if you have a problem with that, do everyone a favor and buy yourself a digital watch. Very simple. And lastly, on the dial, Lume. As expected with Zelos, super bright and capable. C3 on the hands and markers and BGW9 on the chapter ring. The chapter ring is not as bright and it won't last as long because there is not enough surface, but I'm sure you'll be able to get over that at night during the usual trip when you actually look for the Lume. When I say the usual trip, when you're going for a pee and you're checking your time and you need Lume, if even you have a problem then. What a weird transition. Now let's talk about the movement. So powering this, we have the Mayota 9039. This is basically the no date version of the 9015. Now another 3-pointer in the value department. Remember, this is $429 at launch. Now I'll pop the specs on the screen and quickly move on to the conclusion because it gets better. Mine runs at +2 seconds per day. I mean, come on. Not to mention that this also has a soft iron core for increased magnetic resistance. So folks, to look at it like this, how the hell can you compete with this? Beautiful dial, anti-magnetic, and not to mention the fact that it's $429. I mean, why wouldn't they sell out? Now let's talk about the bracelet. This is usually the last chapter that we cover. Now this features a similar H-link style that we had in the hammerhead with screw pins to adjust. Same titanium build and also the same on-the-fly adjustment system incorporated in the clasp. This benefits from the same coating as the case for increased scratch resistance, and it also has the same fine brushing. There are 2 points that I want to address here, maybe one being more important than the other. So number one, I had a bit of a difficult time working with the screw pins. The thread on some of them wasn't aligning properly and I found it difficult to get them back in after removing the link. Not on all of them, on a couple of them, but these just can be maybe just on my bracelet. And second, the clasp, the size of the clasp compared to the 38mm case. Functionality is absolutely superb, don't get me wrong, but this is the same size as the hammerhead from what I could see, and it looks a bit big on the case. Now, I mean, again, I can sleep tonight with that piece of information, but for once I did my job as a reviewer and noticed something hidden or unusual. So with all this, let's draw the line. Well, the line is big, but the conclusion is short. Seriously, do I even need to say it again? What I think is this is the best value for money watch that you can buy at this price point. I mean, it literally ticks every single box. The only thing stopping you from buying this watch would probably be the dial variant, because it might be a bit too bold for you. Now, with the rest, I genuinely don't want to hear it, because you don't even have a case. I mean, if you want to complain about anything with this watch, there is nothing else. It has Lume that you won't even use, a magnetic capability to protect you from those giant magnets that we encounter every day, I don't know where, and the awesome on-the-fly adjustment. Like, honestly, do I need to say anything else? So, with that in mind, guys, do let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the Zelos Aurora Titanium. If you have one, if you bought the previous version, let me know your opinion down below. Thank you very, very much for watching. Click a link, subscribe to the channel, and also do check out Zelos. Maybe they're still on the website. Maybe there's still a couple of them left if you do want to purchase these. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.